Imagine having the skills to actually build a campfire and keep everybody safe and be able to put that campfire out when needed. This is an essential skill that every scout needs. Hey, ScouterStan. Want to talk about the Firem'n Chit. Now this is a kind of a requirement for a lot of scouts because they want to know how to build a fire and go through that process. But it's very important that they understand there's safety involved in this. I can relate to that because I've had moms and dads get a little anxiety about teaching their youth how to build a fire, but it's done in a very safe way, and we require them to read safety things and actually talk about it and go through all that process. So the overview of it all really helps out as far as being knowledgeable, and knowledge is the key. If you can give that scout the essential skill of being knowledgeable, they can handle those things. Now, this came from Tote and Chip. Now, Tote and Chip, we did a video on Tote and Chip, so definitely check it out. There's the link, and but that is where it kind of came from. That predates everything. That's essential stuff to really understand. Skills that are covered within the Firem'n Chit is very important as far as being able to really do it safely. Otherwise, that's where it all begins. You have to do things in a safe way. And having the scout actually read over the Guide to Safety, which is actually in a link down below, definitely read that over. And having the scout think about how, if they're going to light a fire, how they're going to put it out. That's the whole thing. It is important that there's a level of understanding before the matches are handed out. It's very important as scout leaders to understand that you have to go through the instructional part first. Now, granted, a lot of scouts do not like the instructional part because they want to get to the flames. It's just nature, okay? And but it is absolutely critical that they do and understand safety is the key. Without it, it's out of control. And we don't allow that. And that is one of those things. And as a scout leader, you have to be pretty much understand that the scout has the concept of safety, that they really have it before you even get to all the other things that are involved in this skill. They have to know the proper way to start and the proper way to stop a campfire. This is a critical thing that is essential for the scout skill. They also need to know matches and lighters and how they work. They may never have held one in their hands. So this is something that is important. And of course, we have to worry about burn risk. There's a possibility that there could be small, tiny, micro burns that could actually occur. So it's important that they know that there's also first aid. Now, this is just like Tote and Chip. With Tote and Chip, cuts are very common. Scratches, abrasions from tools and things that are used in Tote and Chip. The same thing is true with Firem'n Chit. It has the possibility of needing a first aid course. Now, the importance of fire safety. This is something that is a critical thing when you're out there working with the scouts and putting that first fire that they built together. And this is something that a lot of the older scouts might be able to really gravitate towards the learning process there, using that edge method so that they could actually instruct the scout through that fire building process. That is a critical skill in leadership that can really help the scout and the youth leadership really start building the fire of scouting. And this is something that needs to be done in a safe manner. So the book learning and all the reading and all that stuff needs to happen first. Then they can actually get to the physically building a fire. Now within that youth leadership actually doing the instructing, it is critical that it is observed by 2 or more adult leaders at all times so that safety is addressed and is always in mind when going through that course. Now there is personal growth. This is something that the scout for the first time may never even thought about, the process of building a campfire. There's a whole drawn out process, and it's important that they have that skill. This gives them independence. It gives them an overall feeling of confidence when they're actually working with this. And once they go through the course of earning the Firem'n Chit, it actually gives them the ability to be responsible. They can actually take on those responsibilities. And this is an incredible, dangerous skill. It can be, but when done correctly, it's a wonderful scout skill that is good for everything involved. And campfires are wonderful, and they are one of these things that scout leaders, when it's a possibility to do that, they should. And put the youth in charge of that have the Firem'n Chit and actually, or an instructor to help out with actually learning that process. It's important, and you can use that group. The whole patrol could earn it. This is something they can actually do, and these are great skills that every scout should know. Now, before we go any further, I do want to invite you to our monthly meeting. It's on the first Sunday of each month, and it's at 9 p.m. Eastern Time. So you're more than welcome to join us and ask questions and just have fun. You know, that's one of those wonderful things about that meeting. I also want to thank everybody on Patreon for their continued support of our channel. And our channel members. You can be a channel member. You hit the join button and join up. There's all kinds of badges and emojis and different things. They even get the videos exclusively for themselves, ad-free, which is an added bonus. And then, of course, if you don't want to join in and do a monthly donation, you could always do a one-time donation by hitting the thanks button. So get involved. I really do appreciate all that you do in scouting and here on the channel. Now, some of the essential skills in fire building are based on where the fire is intended to be. Now, a lot of campsites will provide a fire ring, and that is the best. You have to be very careful if it's an area that's not normally camped at. You're in a camp area that is off the beaten path. It's not a normal camping situation. There may not be an appropriate place for a campfire. So that's something to consider. It's incredibly important that we not just build a campfire and set up everything and disrupt nature. That is leave no trace. And it is critical that there be an area that is appropriate for a campfire. Now, once there's an appropriate place for the campfire, it's critical that the fire should match the arrangement. So if you have a circular type of fire ring, the best thing to do is a teepee type fire or a crisscross type of fire. These are different lays of the wood as they're being used in the fire construction. Normally the round containers are not best for the log cabin type of fire. Those tend to be kind of in an open area without an actual set ring. So these are different kinds of fires, and this is really important for the unit to understand. They may not need to do the different types of fire, but you should match up to what is there. Always keep in mind the fire, building the fire is not the principal main thing. It's how to put it out and what you're going to do with all of the charcoal. And is it something that's left there for the next person to build their fire on? Is it something you need to clean up? These are things that need to be addressed before the fire is even built. These are critical points that scout leaders need to address before the very first log is put on that fire, very first kindling made. That's the key to being good stewards of our environment. Now, there are consequences when scouts do not follow the safety procedures and protocols that are needed for the Firem'n Chit. This is something that needs to be addressed immediately. Now, in tote and chip, if you make a mistake, they cut a corner off. No, we don't do that anymore. But we address the scout. We talk to them immediately. We say, wait a minute now, this is not the safe way to do that. You need to do it this way. That's kind of what we do when we address this. We have to do it immediately. And it needs to be observed by adult leaders. Very important to keep that a part of any fire building. Now, there are links to other skills out there in scouting, like wilderness survival. This is a big thing, keeping a small flame and a small fire, to keep warm, that kind of thing. And being able to use the different things, everything from a friction bow to actually create the fire, or spark sticks. Matches get wet, even the ones dipped in wax. It just happens. So they have to have other alternatives. So the survival skill of being able to light a fire, whether it be a signal fire or a fire for being able to survive, the night because of the cold. These are important skills, and they are related. So we need to make sure as scout leaders that it's done safely, that it's always thought of in safely. The last thing we want to do is leave a fire unattended and all of a sudden the woods are on fire. So it would be very bad, and it has happened. So it's incredibly important that we as scout leaders look at the safety first, that it's always first. And that's important with the Firem'n Chit. You make sure that the instructors know what they're doing and observe their instruction. So if there is an issue, it needs to be addressed. Try to do it so that the scout isn't embarrassed. But if it's a safety issue, it needs to be taken care of. And that's the primary thing. But if you can do it tactfully, that's even better. Now, of course, you have tote and chip. Tote and chip is a kind of the front and back. That's the way to think of it. Tote and chip on how to be able to use an axe, which is very important if you need firewood. For Firem'n Chit, it's important that they have those two things. So there's a lot of things that are actually connected, and we need to keep that in mind as leaders. Now, we need to encourage scout leaders to reinforce a lot of the skills that scouts learn. There are a lot of them that are interrelated. They have, axe safety within tote and chip. You have fire building, which you need the axe and that kind of thing. So there's a lot of these types of skills. And as leaders, we need to have those opportunities so scouts can take what they've learned and really put it into action. That makes it stick. If you can, it's one thing to think theory and to read about all the safety and stuff like that. That's important. But it doesn't stick until you actually can relate it to something. So having all of that practice and making sure that the scouts have an opportunity to do that. Scout units that don't camp don't have that opportunity. So you got to go camping. Make sure it's a campsite that does those fires. Sometimes the camp won't let you have an open flame because there's a fire alert going on, a drought or something. That's something that does occur. And it's important that as scout leaders that we observe those rules and those guidelines and to make sure that we're not trying to be the exception, okay? We need to be the example. And that's an important thing within scouting. Your scouts want that essential skill of being able to definitely put together all of the different things that are needed to have a nice campfire. This is a critical thing in scouting, and it's a skill, and it's an essential skill, I believe, for a lot of other things. You can incorporate your leadership into this. You can get them to do some of the training. Your youth leadership should be doing the training, just like they did with Tote and Chip. So this is something that we do within scouting. And we do so much. We do. We work so hard. And I'm so very, very proud of you. And definitely keep up that good work. And make sure that your scouts have an opportunity. They need the opportunity. This is something they will not get in school. They will not get this anywhere else. And we do it safely. And that's the key. And that's the beautiful thing about scouting. And we do so much. And we get a great benefit of good youth leaders that will lead tomorrow. And that is the amazing thing. And so keep it up. And if you need more information about Tote and Chip, that's the other bookend of this, check out the video. There's a video on that. Until next time, I'll see you on the trail.